Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much for such a sweet introduction. There are some bits which I even didn't know about myself, but thank you so much, guys. And let's start with this. What's my angle? That's what she's asking. Nobody asked me that. Jab camera, they used to just start rolling and I used to just stand. I didn't even know how to look at the camera, so I'm still that guy, so I'm okay. Anyway, this is fine.
Check 1, 2. So thank you for doing this. I know it was really last minute and we didn't have an opportunity to make the announcement, but Sid, you were so kind to do this. And it's the first of its kind culture and lifestyle festival with a creative lens, and we really wanted to have a conversation with Sid because he represents the next generation of creatives in an industry which is, which is breaking the binary. We're now today breaking the binary of what we normally know. So, Sid, I'm going to go back to this one interview I saw of Zoya Akhtar, and it was a really interesting interview because that's where she sort of talks about how at an inside edge is to be, but when you're trying to break out of that comfort zone, it's a hard one. You need to get over that doubt.
The process is never in the present. The process is the past.
Hindsight.
Yeah. The process is never in the present. The process is, it's all, everything what you wanted is right in front of you. All you have to do is go and get it. There's no process. Now, whatever you can and however you can reach that point is what it is. From point A to point B. So there's no process. And आपको उसके लिए जो भी करना पड़े, साम, दाम, दंड, भेद, जो भी करना पड़े, you have to get it. So there is no process which I follow. It's just accumulation of my dreams, which are just being held at and then they just the dam opens. So that's
Speaking of dreams, of you also now the fact that you're an actor, I want to understand. Do you want the world to remember you? But what's the impact you want to leave on the world through your craft and through your work, or as yourself?
Wow, that's how do I want the world to be?
Or even if you do or you don't.
I have no clue. Trust me, I have no clue. I'm just a guy who just got my chance. I'm trying to do justice to what I do. I'm just being honest with what I want to do. I do not want to put the pressure on the world to remember me in a certain way. I think I'll give you all the raw material. I'll give you all the hard work. You mold me as the way you want me to be molded. You make me anything and I'll be molded. All I can give you is my raw material, and it's in your hands to mold me however you want me to be.
Thank you for that.
One of the most beautiful scripts I've read. It's about social media. It's about coming of age of these three friends in a digital era. How friendship, how love, validation, all of these things, combined. And it's a sweet, feel-good film. So yeah, I think I want you guys to watch it because it's going to be a very, very
I'm
good
looking
film.
forward to watching it. Yeah. All right, we're going to open up the mic for that. Yeah. Take the mic from there.
Siddhant, hi.
Hi.
I am from Patna, your neighbor, kind of.
बिल्कुल कैसी हैं आप?
So, मैं बढ़िया हूँ. So, just one question. I do follow you on Instagram. और मैं आपका सिट चैट भी फॉलो करती हूँ.
थैंक यू.
तो आपका मैं हिंदी में बात करूँगी और
बिल्कुल.
मैं चाहूँगी कि आप हिंदी में मुझे जवाब दें.
मैं तो वेट कर रहा हूँ कब से. मुझे नहीं पता लोग समझ में आएगी नहीं.
मुझे हिंदी और संस्कृत का बहुत शौक है और मैं लिखती भी हूँ. तो जो हिंदी साहित्य के प्रति आपका रुझान है, मतलब मैं आज की जनरेशन में दो कैटेगरी देखें हम अगर, तो दो तरीके के लोग हैं. एक वो ऐसे लोग हैं जो हिंदी लिखते हैं, लेकिन जो एक कोड, जो हिंदी साहित्य का जो एक जो ग्रामर होता है, जो व्याकरण होता है, आप उसको फॉलो करते हो. मतलब आप साहित्य के प्रति सच में आपका एक वो है, या फिर आपने ऐसे इन जनरल ऐसे सीखा है? क्योंकि जहाँ तक मैं आपको देखती हूँ, आप काफ़ी डीप लिखते हो. कभी लोगों के बारे में, अपने बारे में, शायद अपने डीप थॉट के बारे में. मेरा पहला क्वेश्चन. दूसरा प्रश्न ये है कि एक जो सिद्धांत है, सो वो एक जब सिद्धांत अकेले में रात में अपने जब भी होता है तो वो अपने वो कौन होता है, मतलब सिद्धांत कौन है, मतलब हम आपको इतनी सारे बहुत तरह के कैरेक्टर में देखते हैं, अलग अलग चीज़ों में देखते हैं, तो एक वो जो है जो अपने लिए रियल है वो कौन है? सो
You know, I'm just going to add something before we thank you, Siddhant, for being here. I couldn't agree more because for me, my friends and my family, my brother and my mother are the ones who keep me sane. They're the ones who have my back through everything. And I couldn't, your words resonated so much with me because I know you said you're shy. I'm not as shy, usually. But the most important thing is having people who have your back unconditionally. Our team, the homegrown team who's worked, if we could, work their asses off to make this happen. They're my
Thank you so
team and
much.
these incredible loved ones as well. And thank you for making the time, for being here. This is my first moderation, and I hope I'm not okay. I've tried, but thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for being here, and I really can't thank you enough. And thank you to your team as well. It means a lot, truly. Could we have a big round of applause for Siddhant, please?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Varsha. Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you for being patient and listening to me. Yeah, that's all I have to say. And keep hustling, and you'll be there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Big round of applause for Siddhant, please.
And has done lovely works like Class and Mismatched. पंचमी के लिए प्लीज जोरदार तालियां, पंचमी के परिवार के लिए डबल तालियां. Last but not the least, we've got another panelist on the stage. नाम है इनका प्रिया सेठ. She is one of the most fine cinematographers जिनका काम हमने देखा है एलिफ जैसी फिल्मों में. Then there's Chef. There's this new film called Peepa, which is also sort of there out there. थोड़े बहुत सारी चीजें होती रहती हैं, but there's this one lady who's making sure that cinematographers do not have a gender. She's very, very big, huge friends with the underwater situation because she does a lot of underwater filming as well. Can we please put our hands up together for Priya Seth, who's known as Shooter Seth, which I think is very, very cool on Instagram. Thank you so much. And we're going to just dive into this conversation. So, yay. I'm not going to be one of those MCs who say, Talia, rukni nahi chahiye. No. Listen. जवाब ही रुकने नहीं चाहिए. कुछ सवाल हैं आप सबके लिए, and they are going to be specifically directed also and some for all of you as well. The first question that I have is, ये फीमेल डायरेक्टर, फीमेल सिनेमाटोग्राफर, फीमेल लिरिसिस्ट, फीमेल एक्टर, एक्ट्रेस का इस्तेमाल नहीं होता आजकल. ये फीमेल शब्द जो है, has that sort of now done with it so
As a lyricist, अच्छा काम करने आए हैं, सब अपनी कहानी बताने आए हैं, ना उसका जेंडर से ना जूतियापन से कोई कनेक्शन.
खत्म हो गए हमें पैनल. Sorry, आप सब घर जा सकते. Thank you very much. No, don't go. Listen, next question that I have is for Rima Maya. You've worked for award-winning films, music videos. Is there a conscious effort in changing the way we do music videos?
So that हमारी जो स्टीरियोटाइप है वो चेंज हो जाए और आपने वो भार लेके रखा है अपने शोल्डर्स पे कि भाई मैं तो समाज को बदलती हूँ.
Is it okay if I start a little bit at the beginning of like
Yes.
why I became a filmmaker? Keep it short, but because it's really relevant to what you're saying. So I actually come from the slums of Bombay. I'm not going to do anything about it. And that really was the beginning point of why I became a filmmaker. And then I realized, okay, I know I want to do something about these things. What should be my medium of choice? And I looked at films, and people were watching films and copying hairstyles and copying ways of dressing and things like that. So it clearly had a lot of influence. It had this amazing capacity to incite empathy, and it's a really smart medium because you work really hard and make it once, and then it exists forever. So my decision to be a filmmaker didn't come from a sense of romanticism. It really came from a very logical and observational perspective. And I kind of started working towards being a filmmaker since I was in school. So during summer breaks, other kids would go on vacations and I would do direction workshops and screenwriting workshops and theatre workshops and stuff like that. So yes, the origin of why I want to be a filmmaker is definitely to make socially conscious cinema. But I don't believe there is only one form in which you can make that, right? It doesn't mean that you only make you also make intense art house. I'm talking specifically about music videos. I feel like not just music videos, even in advertising, it's always about finding a medium and still saying a little bit of what you want to say. They were just blasting Bazigar 2 minutes ago, which is Divine's song, incredible, and I did the music video for that. And one of the really interesting things that happened when people were doing reaction videos was they would see my matriarch sitting up on a pedestal, looking like a goddess, and this huge star going and bowing to her. Was it like a conscious, I'm going to make a feminist remark? No, it came so naturally. It actually came out of a beautiful conversation between Divine and me. But is the impact a little bit significant? I would hope so.
There's so much to bring out and so much to share constantly. Panchami, my next question is specifically for you. कई बार ऐसा होता है कि अगर कोई ट्रांस वुमेन का कैरेक्टर है, लेस्बियन का कैरेक्टर है, तो
But we'd love for them to be a part of our movies, just to create opportunity for them as much as we do for other actors. So that's my stance on that.
I'm so glad that in a forum like this we're open to and they know it now. क्योंकि अब तक तो पता नहीं था. Thank you very much.
The underrepresented, and it may not always be fair to be like, okay, just merit for everyone, because especially for roles that have been written for marginalized communities, for a really long time they weren't given that platform at all. So they don't have the same kind of experience and exposure as someone who has been given that space all their life and has that much more experience. It's sometimes difficult to compare and equate that, and so you have to maybe put in that extra effort to workshop, or you need to, as writers and directors, write specifically for certain people, but I personally believe that because for so long their stories were not told, if we are going to capitalize on their...
Is there anything as a compliment which it does not seem like a compliment, seems very back-ended to you, and you would want to get rid of that word altogether or that state?
That's not my name. No. You can call me what you want if it gives you joy. It's like Priya said, what you are saying to me that is important.
So do you think that sort of triggers you, or you don't want to?
I think I started with one of my more triggering anecdotes. The other one was when a chief AC came to the set, found me, and said, "You are AD, no? Who is the director?" And so, in a strangely contorted way, sort of having your crew give you respect on set becomes a little bit strong. So, beyond the point, everyone is not as sensitized, and you need everyone to listen. So maybe being referred to as ma'am is helpful when you don't have enough time to really zone everybody in. So that's kind of a flip on that. But I wanted to say,
actors don't come into the room and speak to them, and we've created a very different atmosphere at my office, where any actor that comes to test can come in and say hello and introduce themselves, and I think that is something that I don't feel bad about. I'm happy that is being said, but I think that needs to change, because many steps to get to this point of speaking to a casting director. My very job is to interact with actors, so I think that requires a bit of a shift because of how it's been before versus what it is now.
Also, I think that now, and then we'll open the panel to all the people who are sitting over here. Through the lens, through your pen, if there's anyone out there who wants to become a writer.
Very often is that today there's so much emphasis that seems to be placed on your social media positioning, that a lot of actors today, more than working on their craft, their focus is on how do I increase my social media numbers. And this is a conversation that comes up in many interviews, and this is something that I personally, yes, it does trigger me. The idea that someone might be cast just because of social media numbers seems bizarre to me. But I will really say this to any aspiring actors if they're out there, that you have to still go down to the basics and work on your craft, which today I feel isn't happening or being taken seriously by people who want better work. You put yourself out there so much. you have to find time to also take in, and that's my idea of studying and homework and work on myself. Just because you might have done good work, you have to still sharpen your skills and your knife. I mean, call me old school, but I am a strong believer in one's craft taking you to places rather than anything else.
We do see a growth of representation in the artists and the creators, but I wanted to understand, because you guys are like part of the industry, and I wanted to understand like what's the industry doing for media literacy for the audience, because there is I will make my art in my way from a marginalized group, right? But if my audience is not there to connect with it, right, with my message as a speaker, so I wanted to understand, is there a movement, or is there some kind of advancement for education for the audience, or for media literacy in the industry? Do you guys see it happening? Is there anyone doing it?
So there is a workshop.
That disconnect shouldn't rise, that disparity shouldn't rise between the creator and the audience.
Yep. Sure.
Sorry, I think the very purpose that you are trying to, and I'm going to put this to Rima, but I think
Yes. So for it, right? So the only way to do it is for us to all support good art, good cinema in whatever different forms and meanings that is, and encourage more and more people to come and watch it. And only then, I think, will more audiences understand more and be open to better.
believe that you're actually smart enough to understand my work, and I need to, so it becomes a little patronizing as well. So, one has to be careful of talking down at the audience and saying that you definitely won't understand. Now let me give you a workshop so you can understand my work.
My point exactly wasn't to create specifically that, but it was more because I see critics, quote unquote young critics that are following that. Are there gatekeepers that are?
That's a slightly separate conversation, because that's not audience, that's critics.
Yeah.
And critics like I as a director have to be trained and have to have an education in it in whatever form. Critics also need to have an education.
And again, this question is mostly directed to Rima ma'am, but of course to all of you all. I think, when you were speaking about representation, it honestly does come down to equity and equality, right? How can we have a meritocracy when we know that everyone isn't starting at the same level? And the reason I ask you this is because I'm a performer and an actor with a disability. And last year I wanted to perform a play with characters that were disabled, and I looked and looked and looked and couldn't find anything. So I was like, you know what, never mind, I'm just going to write my own play, I'm going to perform it, I'm going to find a director, and I'm just going to do it. But I also understand the business aspect of it, where we don't necessarily have actors from marginalized communities who are, let's say, at par with actors who are able-bodied or from non-marginalized communities who would maybe pull in larger audiences. So how do you kind of find that sweet spot? Because, if we go back to when, white supremacy was a thing, white actors would play black roles. But today, you can't have a white actor play a black actor. In the same way, how can we have someone who is cisgender play someone who's trans, or someone who's able-bodied play someone who's disabled? Because your identity cannot be a characteristic. So how do you navigate that?
Thank you for that question.
I'm actually quite happy you said that movies have such they have the ability to, reach to the audience. And I agree with it. I'm not into filmmaking, but I'm in the creative field, and I feel almost all creative areas have the ability to really, if they're true, then they'll reach the people. So my question is regarding this. When I was really young, when the movie Queen came out, I remember enjoying it so much. Even at the time, it was amazing. My mom, she told me about how the movie is from telling this woman's story. I was really young, but as I've grown up and I've gone to different friend circles, I've changed friend circles. Never have I ever heard any guy say they don't like Queen, or they don't what's the word? They don't identify with the character of Queen. despite her being a female. So I feel like a lot of times what happens is maybe people in order to create something and have a statement in the movie, they sometimes sacrifice story, or sometimes they sacrifice. I mean, movies have to still entertain, and movies still have to be interesting. So sometimes they sacrifice in order to make a statement. I want to know how you feel about that, and do you agree? Do you feel there is something this thing? Because when you watch a movie like Queen, everybody relates, and sometimes there are movies that people just don't connect with it. They have pure intentions, but people just don't relate with them, and then the directors become a little patronizing.
So I personally don't think that any film is good just because it's talking about an issue. It really is about what that story is, how it is crafted, the skill of it, the emotionality of it, all of that. So if anyone is coming from an entitled space of like, oh, you must appreciate my film because it's about, I don't know, like a poor girl from the slums. No. Is it a good story? Is it a good film? That's important.
Yes. Happy ending with Saif Ali Khan in it. Happy ending.
I haven't seen.
So, do you guys remember the film Happy Ending with Saif? उसमें एक बहुत deep dialogue था जहाँ पे गोविंद has said this. He said 300 रुपए में audience को जिंदगी सिखाने मत जाओ. That's the thought, right? I think as an audience, even for me, I think all of us, when we watch a film, if I feel like someone's trying to teach me something, then I'm like, wait, why are you trying to teach me something? If, like she beautifully gave this example of the pebble, wherein when I'm immersed in a story and by the way I'm taking things away from it, that's the bonus.
Change the world one story at a time, one person at a time.
If I had to not
ऐसे नहीं है. जिसको भी राइटर बनना है बहुत मुश्किल काम है, अकेले करना होता है, बहुत सीखना पड़ता है, खुद you have to be used to feedback, बहुत गाली सुननी पड़ती है और पैसे नहीं है.
कोई राइटर्स लोन नहीं होता है बैंक में
भाई राइटर को घर खरीदने का लोन नहीं मिलता, क्या बात कर रही हो?
Rima, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Panchami. It has been things are dropping and falling down over here. Can we please have a huge round of applause for everyone on this panel? And can we please wish them all the strength and love for making whatever they make so that it's so beautiful. It reaches us, it reaches our hearts. And we're changing the world. That's correct. Thank you so much. This is Prerna signing out from this panel. Thank you so much, Homegrown, for giving us this fabulous, very subtle always.
Hey Prerna, thank you so much for this great conversation. And all you guys who've just gotten up, I would just say, wipe your seats and sit back right here, because within 5 minutes we will have a very special conversation. Siddhant Chaturvedi will be talking about his life and times, more importantly what he feels about things. So
सबसे पहले जानना चाहेंगे आज के इवेंट के बारे में, कितना एंजॉय किया है पैनल, स्पेशली दी ऑल दी वुमेन्स वर टुगेदर.
Actually, the panel was wonderful, and to have Anvita ma'am, to have Priya ma'am, to have Panchami, you had someone from the casting department, cinematographer, writing. I think हर एक department से कोई था, and it's wonderful. I think ऐसे conversations होने चाहिए, and Homegrown is amazing, so I'm very happy to be here.
क्या कुछ अब सीखने मिला है, क्योंकि इतने सारे लोग जब एक साथ होते हैं बहुत सी चीज़ें, बहुत सी बातें डिस्कस होती हैं.
आई थिंक ये जो कॉन्वर्सेशंस हैं वो हम रियलाइज़ नहीं करते कितने ज़रूरी होते हैं. और डेफिनेटली मैंने बहुत सीखा, बिकॉज हर इंसान का एक अलग पर्सपेक्टिव होता है. अगर हम फीमेल रिप्रेजेंटेशन की बात करें या हम स्टोरीज़, कहानियों की बात करें, सो एक्चुअली बातों से ज़्यादा मैं सीखने ही आई थी.
हाल ही में हमने आपका हॉटस्टार पे देखा था ताज़ा खबर,
जी।
उसमें जिस तरीके से आपका किरदार आपने निभाया है, अभी भी आपने बात किया उस किरदार
जी,
के बारे में।
जी।
बहुत से लोग हिचकिचावट करते हैं ऐसा किरदार निभाने के लिए, आपने कैसे हाँ कहा था इस किरदार के?
See, I don't judge the characters I play. I think as an actor, हम जो भी प्ले करते हैं वो एक ह्यूमन स्टोरी की तरह हमें प्ले करना पड़ता है.
हमेशा से हम देखते हैं आपके मॉम डैड रवि सचिन फ्रॉम्स फैमिली ऑलवेज सपोर्टेड,
Yes.
सीख मिलती है
ऑफ कोर्स, मतलब वो मेरी ग्रेटेस्ट स्ट्रेंथ है और मैं जो कुछ भी करती हूँ उन्हें गर्व महसूस हो इसलिए करती हूँ. सो ये अभी आवाज़ बढ़ने वाला है इसलिए हम इंटरव्यू बंद करते हैं क्योंकि ये जोर जोर से भी बातें करेंगे.
सरप्राइज अगर आपकी तरफ से हो कोई नया प्रोजेक्ट तो प्लीज
जी, इस साल मैं फिल्मों पे थोड़ा ज़्यादा फोकस कर रही हूँ. तो इस साल 2-3 फिल्में हैं जिसकी शूट शुरू होगी, एक फिल्म रिलीज भी होगी और सीजन 2 ऑफ ब्रोकन न्यूज़, गिल्टी माइंड्स. तो टचवुड अच्छा काम है और आ रहा है. सो वॉच आउट.
कौन सा नया वरदान आपके ऊपर
वेट एंड वॉच. थैंक यू.